My name is George ZUIDERVEEN. I'm a member of the governing board at church. I've been attending here since the early 1980s. I was warned about this place. One warning was that it's not a real church, it's a country club. That interested me because I had never belonged to a country club. The other was, if you go to Fountain Street Church, you have one foot on a banana peel and the other in hell. And that sounded very exciting. So the first time I visited here, one of the ministers read scripture, and it was by Walt Whitman. And I said to myself, I don't think he's in the Bible. And then the choir sang Dave Brubeck. And I said, you can do that in church? I was comfortably confused. I ran against that feeling several years later when I went to a class here on abortion where I thought I knew what I believed, and I went away feeling, again, comfortably confused. This has been a place that makes me feel comfortable over the years and confused over the years. I like that. I feel supported and challenged. So today, if you're sitting in these pews and you've been here 1,000 times, hundreds of times, welcome. If you're here and it's your first time, welcome. If you're out there in your pajamas watching TV and watching us, welcome. Or if you overslept and you're watching this next Tuesday, I guess that's a future welcome. And I want to give special welcome to our guest this morning, Dr. Ortega. I just met him. Turns out we went to the same Calvin College. Some of the folks that warned me, if they would know what's going on today, they would be scratching their heads. But welcome to Fountain Street Church.
We have gathered at this time heeding a call to enter into bonds of sacred community. Whether we are physically present in this space or whether you are joining us virtually from places you call home, we have deemed it important to be together in fellowship, to be of one mind, of one spirit, as we co-create this sacred space together. Let us worship.
Good morning, and let me add my welcome to the chorus of them already sung. My name is the Reverend Greta Seidohl, and I have the privilege of serving here as your assistant minister. And I want to share with you this morning our ancient witness that comes to us in the form of a story, like most good things. This one is a free retelling of the Shavuot HaKalim from the Kabbalah by Amy Petrie Shaw. At the beginning of time, before anything else at all ever existed, love was all there was. And it filled up everything in the whole universe. But love got bored and lonely. You see, there wasn't anyone to be in love with. And so one day, love decided to make a world. First, it took a deep breath. Can you do it with me? Deeper. Let me see. How deep can you make it? Deeper, deeper. Love got all squished up, taking the deepest breath ever, and was so squished that it squeezed out darkness. The darkness was all around. It was thick and shiny and black, and it was beautiful. And love couldn't see anything. So love waved its arms around and its legs around, but darkness was everywhere. Hi, can you see me? I have to do something about this, love said. And for a minute, thought and tried to think the most wonderful, beautiful, warm thoughts ever. Love thought harder and harder, and all of a sudden called out, "I want light." And pop, there it was. All of those warm and wonderful and beautiful thoughts exploded outward into 10 different directions, shaping themselves into 10 glowing balls of light. Each ball was filled with a spinning lump of pure light and warmth. Some of those spare good thoughts that couldn't quite fit in those glass balls became dust and water vapor and seeds and molecules that could form animals. And love said, "This is amazing. I had better make something for all this light to shine on." So again, it waved its arms and it kicked its legs, and all of that dust and water vapor and molecules that had been scattered around when the glass balls formed began to form into another huge ball. This one was made of dirt and water and plants and animals. Love looked at it and called it the earth. Those 10 balls of light that had been created earlier, they started toward the earth. And if they had made it there in one piece, everything on earth would have been as love planned it. But the glass balls were too fragile to contain such strong, powerful, wonderful, good thoughts. And so they broke. They shattered. And all the good thoughts shattered with them and flew out like sparks, like sand, like seeds, like stars. Those sparks fell everywhere on the earth in tiny, tiny bits instead of the big clumps like love had intended. Oh, no. Love said, I am too big, and I will never be able to find all of those tiny sparks. I guess I have to make one more thing. So love waved its arms and kicked its feet one last time, and people appeared on earth. They didn't know it, but they were created for one job: to find those sparks. Those tiny pieces of wonderful goodness, and to bring them together into big clumps again. When there are clumps, enough clumps are there, Love said, I will create a big glass container to hold them, and this time I'll set it down a little more carefully. So all of us, all of you, from the time you were born, have a job. And that job is to help find love. To find more good and warm and wonderful things and bring them together. And when you do, you are fixing the world. May it be so.
Our contemporary witness this morning is a portion of Simone J. Ortiz's poem, Becoming Human. We are given permission by the responsibility we accept and carry out. Nothing more, nothing less. People are not born. People are made when they become human beings within ritual, tradition, purpose, and responsibility. Therefore, as humans, this we do. Sun, Father begins red in the east. Stand and be humble. Red through trees, moments changing each instant into the next, each change tied to the next. To be human is to have a sense of being within itself. Sun, red, trees. Our heart's eye seeing inward and outward, accepting, standing in mind and spirit, and being humbled. Because the more names you have, the more of a person you become. That's what I heard, and that's what I shared. Covenants of care. In the 16th century, Rabbi Isaac Luria told a magnificent story. We heard a version of this story, but I would like to tell it again in somewhat of a different way. This story that Rabbi Luria told became part of the Kabbalistic teachings, coming to be known as the broken vessel. At the heart of this story is a singular important lesson: Tikkun Olam. Many of us are familiar with Tikkun Olam. We know it by the phrase, to mend the world. This story, The Broken Vessels, is a story of unfolding of the world, of the universe, but also a story of care and responsibility. As Rabbi Luria told the story, it goes something like this. One day, The Holy One desired to know its divine self. And in order to do so, it decided to shrink the divine essence and put it and spread it across many different vessels. A holy essence divided and entrusted into many, many vessels, because the thought was that somehow I will come to know myself that way. But of course, these vessels could not hold or withstand such magnificence and radiance, because the good, the truth, and the beautiful was so powerful that it burst them open and it scattered light across the universe. And as this light is scattering across the universe, the world itself starts unfolding, because such is the magnificence of the holy. In fact, the more these vessels shattered, the more of the world came to be. But there's also a wrinkle in this story, because as the Holy One shrunk the divine self into vessels that couldn't contain it, that couldn't withstand such beauty and goodness, and at the light scatter of the world when they broke, something else happened. From the scatterings of light, these sparks, some sparks, became humans. Imagine that. Within this myth, you and me, every human you have ever encountered, every person that we have turned and loved and who has loved us back in return, has within them a spark of this divine. And the same is true for those to whom we have turned and let unkindness guide our ways, or those that we keep at arm's length. They also are a spark of the divine. Rabbi Luria continued that as the world unfolded around us, as everything was shifted, humans were called into a particular kind of relation. And as we learned this relationship was in relation with the world, we start enjoying the lake waters over the summers, the fields as we ran and let the wind caress our faces. The same is true with our animal companions. Everything around us is infused with a spark of the divine, of that light scattered across the unfolding of the universe through an act of curiosity and self-knowing of the Holy One, known by many names. And Rabbi Luria then continues to tell a story for us, and it goes something like this. Because we have been created out of that spark, we were entrusted with one responsibility, the responsibility of go through the world finding those sparks, gathering back together. That is, it is the responsibility to make the world whole. Tikkun Olam. What a holy task you and I, those before us and those who come after us, have been given. To turn our attention to the world and to one another in such a way that we can apprehend that spark of the divine in each and one of us. And that more than that we can gather one another into sacred vessels, into new vessels, to make the world whole again. What a possibility. In fact, for many of us, and for me as a part of the Judaic tradition, I understand this as a covenant between the Holy One and us. A covenant that gives us permission to enter into responsibility for one another. In fact, isn't that what we declared when we become part of a sacred community? That we will be with one another, for one another. that we understand that we become a people not because we are born such, but we become a religious people because we are made so by our community, by our rituals, by our traditions, by our shared purpose, but most important, by our responsibilities for one another and the world. And you see, perhaps for us this morning, that is the challenge. If we choose to live into covenant with one another and made a religious people in community through our shared rituals, through our traditions, and because of our responsibilities for one another, it means that we have to turn in care in our circumstances, whether they are joy or sorrow. It means that as a faith community, we have to covenant, to care, to share, not only in our worship, in what we do here Sunday mornings, but also in the life that continues to minister to each and one of us through the week. Many of us have heard the phrase, our service is over, or our worship is over. Let our service begin. Covenants of care ask us to live into that reality, to understand that we are entrusted with a responsibility through our actions, through our prayer, through our service, to make the world whole again. A world that extends to our relationships, interpersonal, communal, with the nation, and more importantly, with the world around us. In such acts, we come to know our true names. The more names you have, Simón Ortiz reminds us, the more of a person you become. It means that your name becomes my name becomes your name, and in acknowledging one another, and in so naming one another by our true names, we become more humans. What a mystery to instill in us humbleness and compassion. And I hope that you, like me, feel a renewed joy for this task, to turn towards one another and see the spark of the divine, to have the willingness to look one another so close into our face and our eyes that we can see our own reflection in someone else's eye. And in so doing, not only come to know one another in a deeper way, but come to love one another truly. May all that is good, beautiful, and holy inspire us to live such a life today. May it be so, and blessed be. I invite you now into a few moments of silence meditation. As you feel moved and comfortable, close your eyes. Take a few deep breaths. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale again. And exhale. Sit in the stillness, knowing that all around you is light. Divine light that has been unfolding from the beginning of the world will continue to unfold into the end, when we will know ourselves truly as we were meant to be through this world. Amen.
From this place of calm and quiet, in the presence of our shared liberating faith and in the presence of each other, we bring our whole selves. We bring that which brings us joy and sorrow and fear and hope and pain and faith. The very things that make us complete, complex, messy, full human beings. And with that, we bring the things that we so desperately long for the world to know and understand. The things we hold inside, veiled from the world, all of it. This morning, I invite you to bring all of yourselves into this space and this time, so that we might together affirm the wholeness of one another and carry it forward together. And so we name the things that are written on our heart and in our souls, across our spirits. Those who have submitted silent prayers, either through our form online or through the box at the narthex table, who ask that we hold their joys in silence. May the ripples of our love reach them and their joy echo back to us. For those who hold heavy weights, we offer a lending spirit. Particularly this morning, we hold Terry as his mom is going through bone cancer treatment. May they both and all who love them be wrapped in a gentle comfort, with wise and healing hands to care for them. Together we hold these joys and concerns, the joys and concerns left unsaid in our hearts. And so I invite you to take one more breath with me and place your hand over your heart to know that our hearts beat together as we breathe together. May we journey together ever towards wholeness, belonging, and more love. Amen, and blessed be. Thank you, choir, for that beautiful version of Simple Gifts by Marie Poehler. It's always good to have you with us. I have a few brief announcements as a way of inviting you into deeper community with your Fountain Street family and beyond. First of all, I want to just encourage you to read your Friday Flash. Everything you could want to know about Fountain Street probably comes out in that communication. If you are not receiving that and would like to be, or are not sure what's happening, I would encourage you to reach out to the office. We want to be communicating with you. We want to make sure you know what's going on, so help us make sure that that's happening. So in the last few Friday Flashes, there was an announcement about our community corners, our northwest, southwest, southeast, northeast, and that there would be walks today. Now, I'm a good youper, and I don't cancel for cold. but I promised I would cancel if it was raining and cold. So, I think we're gonna say that walks are not happening today and we'll hope to reschedule for a later time. If you're really feeling gung-ho and really want to enjoy our seasonal transition, the battle between fall and winter that's happening out there, I encourage you to reach out to your corner leader. In Northwest, that would be Kat Hapner, Southeast, Judy Botts, Southwest, Sharon Collins, and Northeast, Louisa McNally, and they'll get you connected or maybe brave the weather with you. However, I'd like to invite you to mark your calendars for the Hanging of the Greens, which will be hosted by our community corners. That traditionally happens on the first Sunday of Advent, which I hate to tell you is coming up in like 2 weeks. So mark your calendars for that Sunday, the first Sunday of Advent. It'll be directly after service. We'll meet up in kind of the lobby area over by the offices and the social hall to bring some holiday cheer to our halls in the form of trees and all the trimmings. I encourage all ages to participate in that, regardless of what part of the city you live in. A little closer than that, on Tuesday, November 16th at 7 p.m., I would like to invite you to join us on Zoom for a conversation with Dr. Ortega. He'll be hosting a special Zoom to talk about Meadville Lombard Theological School, where he serves as president and where I graduated, and what they're doing with liberal faith and liberal religious education in our world, and what that means for a place like Fountain Street and people like you. So you can join us at 7 p.m. on Tuesday on Zoom. The link was out in your Friday flash, or feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you connected. Oh, I forgot my prop. Bear with me. Fountain Club, get excited, will be selling. Thank you. Oh, I'm even on my mic, that works. We'll be selling diversity stakes and wreaths this year again. That sale will be starting on Sunday, November 21st, which also happens to be our annual meeting, so hopefully you'll all be here anyway, right? So you'll be here for the annual meeting and you can purchase diversity stakes and wreaths to bring holiday cheer home with you starting on the 21st. All right. Thank you for being in community with us, and thank you for all the ways you support us and support each other, from walks to diversity stakes to Zoom meetings to sitting here this morning. Dr. Ortega.
May the lights of the holy, known by many names, shine bright in our path. May compassion soften our hearts to love fiercely. May justice close the space between us so that we may live into fullness of life for our well-being and the wholeness of the world. May it be so. Blessed be, and go forth in peace.